There is a certain kind of person who checks the weather before leaving the house and still imagines the storm getting worse, who rereads a message 3 times before sending it because something about it feels dangerous, who hears silence from someone they love and immediately feels their stomach tighten, not because anything happened, but because their mind has already started preparing for what could happen. And most people don't notice this happening. From the outside, they just seem realistic, careful, prepared. But inside, their nervous system is already 10 steps ahead, trying to survive futures that haven't even arrived yet. They are the kind of person who walks into a room and instantly scans the emotional temperature. A delayed response, a strange tone, a look that lasts half a second too long. Tiny details most people forget immediately become signals their brain cannot ignore. And after a while, they stop expecting life to go well, not because they want negativity, but because disappointment feels easier to survive when you saw it coming. There's a quiet exhaustion that comes from living this way, because when your brain constantly prepares for the worst, it never truly rests, even during good moments, especially during good moments. That's the strange part people rarely talk about. For some people, happiness itself feels unsafe, because the moment something feels stable, their brain whispers, "Don't relax yet. Something will ruin this." And over time, they stop experiencing peace fully. They only experience temporary pauses between threats. Most people think expecting the worst is pessimism, but it usually isn't. Real pessimism sounds cold, detached, almost careless. This is different. This is emotional anticipation, a nervous system trying to stay ahead of pain. And beneath that behavior, there is usually a very old fear. If I prepare for disappointment now, maybe it won't destroy me later. The strange thing is that many people who expect the worst are actually deeply sensitive people. Their brains notice patterns quickly. Their emotional radar is strong. They pick up tension before other people even realize it exists. Sometimes this begins with temperament. Some people are simply born with a more reactive nervous system. Their amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting danger, responds faster and more intensely than average. As children, they were the kids who startled easily, who noticed arguments through closed doors, who sensed mood shifts before words were spoken, who absorbed emotional atmospheres like a sponge absorbs water. Then there's the second path, the learned path. The child who grew up around inconsistency, love that changed suddenly, affection that disappeared without explanation, a parent whose mood controlled the entire emotional climate of the house. One day calm, the next day cold, the next day explosive. A child raised in that environment learns something powerful very quickly. Good moments do not last, so their nervous system adapts. They become hyper-aware, hyper-prepared, hyper-attuned to emotional change, not because they are weak, but because unpredictability trained their body to survive through anticipation. And eventually, this pattern becomes automatic. Even decades later, even around safe people, even in peaceful situations, their brain still behaves as if emotional danger could appear at any second. There's also something deeper happening underneath this, a psychological system many people don't realize they're trapped inside. The brain has something called the default mode network. It activates when the mind is not focused on the outside world. And for people who constantly expect the worst, this network often turns inward in destructive ways. The brain starts simulating future scenarios automatically, conversations that haven't happened, problems that don't exist yet, losses that haven't occurred. Their mind becomes a prediction machine. But the brain does not distinguish sharply between imagined danger and real danger, so the body reacts anyway. Heart rate rises, muscles tighten, breathing changes. The nervous system prepares for impact, even while sitting quietly in bed at night. And after years of this, anxiety stops feeling like anxiety. It starts feeling like personality, like, this is just who I am. But it isn't who they are, it's what their nervous system learned to do. You can often recognize these people by the small patterns they repeat every day. The first sign is overanalysis. They replay conversations constantly, not because they enjoy thinking, but because their brain believes analysis prevents pain. They leave an interaction and immediately begin reviewing it like surveillance footage. That pause felt strange. Maybe they're upset. I shouldn't have said that. A simple text message becomes an emotional investigation. And the exhausting part is that their brain rarely searches for positive explanations. It searches for danger, because danger feels urgent. Their nervous system treats uncertainty like a threat that must be solved immediately. The second sign is emotional forecasting. Before anything even happens, they emotionally prepare for failure. If they start dating someone, part of them already imagines abandonment. If something good happens at work, another part quietly waits for disaster. If someone compliments them, they brace for criticism afterward. And this creates a painful contradiction. They want good things deeply, but the moment good things appear, fear appears with them, because hope makes people vulnerable. And vulnerability feels dangerous when disappointment has wounded you before. The third sign is constant self-monitoring. These people are always watching themselves, their tone, their facial expressions, their reactions, their words. Sometimes they become so focused on managing other people's emotional responses that they stop feeling natural entirely. You can see it in small moments. They laugh, then immediately wonder if they laughed too loudly. They tell a story, then regret talking too much. They open up emotionally, then feel exposed afterward. Their nervous system is trying to control outcomes by controlling themselves, but eventually, this creates a strange kind of emotional claustrophobia. Because when every interaction feels monitored, nothing feels free anymore. The fourth sign is difficulty trusting calm. This is one of the saddest patterns. Peace itself starts feeling suspicious. If life becomes quiet for too long, their brain starts searching for hidden problems, because chaos became familiar, and familiar things feel safer than unfamiliar peace. Some people grew up so emotionally prepared for impact that stability almost feels unreal to them. Like sitting in a room that is too quiet after years of hearing alarms. Their body keeps waiting for the next sound. The fifth sign is emotional exhaustion that nobody sees. These people often look functional from the outside, responsible, aware, emotionally intelligent. But internally, they are carrying the weight of hundreds of imagined futures every day. And imagined pain still exhausts the nervous system. That's why they often feel tired after social situations, tired after thinking, tired after ordinary days, because their brain never truly stops scanning, never stops preparing, never stops trying to prevent emotional danger before it arrives. At first, this pattern feels protective, even useful. It creates the illusion of control. If I expect disappointment, I won't be shocked. If I prepare for betrayal, I won't be hurt as badly. But eventually, the strategy starts harming the very person it was trying to protect. Because constant anticipation slowly disconnects people from the present moment. They stop experiencing life directly. They experience simulations of what might go wrong. And over time, fear starts replacing curiosity. Control starts replacing connection. The nervous system becomes so focused on preventing pain that it accidentally prevents intimacy too. Because real connection requires uncertainty. You cannot love someone fully while constantly preparing for their disappearance. You cannot experience peace while emotionally rehearsing disaster every day. And eventually, the body pays the price. Chronic tension, mental fatigue, sleep problems, emotional numbness, a strange inability to feel fully present even during beautiful moments. There are people sitting beside sunsets, mentally preparing for tomorrow's problems. People being hugged while secretly waiting to be abandoned. People receiving love while quietly doubting it. Not because they are broken, but because their nervous system learned survival before it learned safety.